toast to their career.
Perfect combination, boy.
Hip hard legends in the South.
This is sports fans' only home for the hottest sports show around. These guys are on fire. Let's go.
You're now listening to KJ and Sean Mack. Let's talk some damn sports.
Welcome back to Sports Fans Only. I'm your host, KJ, and I hope everyone had a great day today. As you can see, fall is here, and it's really a beautiful thing. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, fall in the Northeast is the most magnificent, picturesque environment you'll ever want to see in this country. I don't care what part you live in the fall, the Northeast is beautiful. I'm going to put some pictures up here. Look at that. Look at those colors. It's just breathtaking. I remember being younger, and I used to take rides with my parents in the fall. We used to go to Martha's Vineyard, up the Boston area. We might take a ride through the valley, past Ansonia, going up towards Waterbury and Bristol, up that way. And we would just ride, go get something to eat, just enjoy the weather, listening to some Anita Baker and Earth, Wind and Fire and whatever, Lionel Richie, that type of music my parents love. So we would just ride, and it was a beautiful thing. It really is. And anyway, not only do I love the weather, I absolutely love this time of year for sports. Listen, you have your MLB playoffs. Football is just getting into full swing. They always say November is when you really know what team is who's who and what's what. And we're about to approach that period right now. What's the date today? Today is the 20th or the 21st? Anyway, like I said, football is just getting into full swing. To a lesser extent, hockey is jump starting. Now, no disrespect to hockey. I know it's one of the better sports to watch live. And I'm actually I'm hopefully going to a Bridgeport Islanders game this Sunday. They call themselves the Islanders now. Now, that's the AAA affiliate of the Long Island Islanders. Is that what it is? Or the New York Islanders? See, that shows you how much I know about hockey right there. The New York Islanders. That's the AAA affiliate. They were called the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, but I've been seeing bulletin boards. They're called the Bridgeport Islanders now. So hopefully I'm going to the game. That's on the 24th. That's a Sunday. The arena's right behind my house, so I can literally walk there. So I'm going to get some footage of that and put it up on YouTube, show you my little experience at my first hockey game. So anyway, like I said, I don't follow hockey. I know it's a great sport to watch, but I don't follow them. So it is what it is. But this time of year, and of course, you have basketball. Which brings me to why we are here, ladies and gentlemen. The start of the NBA regular season kicked off last night. And I figured we'd talk about the two games briefly and my thoughts on the two games. And then I'll throw around some fun facts and some past opening days in the NBA, some records that were set and some of the greatest performances and stuff like that. So with that being said, let's kick off this year's first episode of Sports Fans Only NBA Jam Session with your boy, the sports guru KJ. So let's get it. So last night marked the opening of the NBA season, the 2021 season, and it saw the Warriors travel to LA to face off against the Lakers and LeBron James. And this was the first time we've seen LeBron James versus Steph Curry, if you remember, in a meaningful game at the Staples Center since that play-in playoff game that the Lakers won was actually a close game. Very entertaining game, but not a position you thought you would see Curry and LeBron in the beginning of the 2020 season. So this was the first game since then, and Curry and the Golden State Warriors won 121-114 in Tuesday's season opener, but mostly because Curry's supporting cast had a bit longer to come together than LeBron James and the Lakers, and we'll get into Russell Westbrook, what a disaster that was on opening night. But yeah, Anthony Davis came to play, and we'll get into that in a second. Curry led the Warriors with a 21-point, 10 assists, 10 rebound triple-double. And I bet you don't know, and I'm going to get into it a little later, what other Hall of Fame player has done that in their career? Just think about that as we go forward. His saving grace, he was only 5 of 21 from the floor, but his saving grace was a perfect 9 for 9 from the free throw line. And he had strong games from Jordan Poole, which was 20 points. Damon Lee had 15 points. Nemanja Bjelica I'm pretty sure that's not how you say his name, but it is what it is. He had 15 points, 11 rebounds. Andrew Wiggins had 12 points, and Andre Iguodala, who's a key acquisition in my opinion. Miami didn't utilize him right, but the Warriors know how to use him. So I think that's going to be a big pickup for their second team coming off the bench. James looked as good as he ever did before that ankle injury cost him 27 games last year. He hit the first 6 field goals on the way to 34 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. According to ESPN stats and information, it was James' most makes without a miss to start a season in his career. The problem is, like I said before, no one else on the Lakers but Anthony Davis decided to show up. Anthony Davis had 33 points. James and Davis combined to score 67 points and shoot 57%. The rest of the team mustered just 47 points on 37% shooting. Ouch. No other Laker even scored in double figures, with newcomer Carmelo Anthony scoring 9 points. But that was kind of to be expected, right? I mean, it's a new team. We kind of saw this with Miami when LeBron went to Miami, and everybody's just kind of feeling each other out. Russell Westbrook, it was his first game. He's from LA, so he had all his family and friends there. So he wanted to show out, but at the same time, he doesn't want to step on anybody's toes. I think for the first time, Russell Westbrook comes into a season knowing he's not the first or second option. He is clearly not the first or second option. And I didn't even realize they got Avery Bradley. Seeing that they got Bradley and Rondo, I'm not really sure you even needed Russell Westbrook, but we'll get into that some other time. Like I said, his homecoming was underwhelming at best. The LA native didn't score until 4 minutes before halftime. He missed 9 of his 13 shots and ended with a game worst plus-minus of 23. Now, that's always been the big hit on him also. When he plays with other superstars, he likes to hog the ball. He's a volume shooter. If he doesn't get those volume shots, he's also a streaky shooter. So if he's not getting volume shots, if you catch him in one of those cold streaks, he's going to have a bad game. I don't know if he can be productive with just shooting 10 to 15 times a game, every game. I don't know. You know that saying, you got to feed the monster? When it's his if it's his own team, that you could do that with him. But with this team, they don't need him for that. And I just don't know if they really needed him. So we'll see how that works out. The Lakers have been treating this early part of the season as something as a dress rehearsal. And like I said, LeBron has been through this when he went to Miami, then when he went to Cleveland, and then when he went to the Lakers, and then when Anthony Davis came. People have to start respecting LeBron. Because what do you expect? Everybody say he has a super team. Every team that has won a championship, in my opinion, besides a couple, Milwaukee I wouldn't consider a super team. I don't even think they would have won if everybody was healthy, but that's another story. But for the most part, 98% of all teams that win championships are super teams. Now, it just so happens back in the 90s and before the 80s, those super teams were usually formed organically. They were homegrown talent for the most part. You might get another little piece, like with the Bulls, they got Rodman or Kukoc. But for the most part, because free agency still wasn't a big thing in the 90s, it didn't become really big until like LeBron's first contract, to when like it really exploded and players started having these crazy contracts in weird like odd number years on the team, like a 2-year contract or a 3-year. Can I say odd number? They started having like 2. So he got his super teams in a different way. I don't personally, if there's free agency and you're going to let them do what they want after the contract's up, this is what you were going to get eventually. It just so happens LeBron started it. I guess you can say that. Everybody's their own man, but I guess he started it, whatever. But anyway, with a team with a lot of aspirations from getting to the championship, I'm not sure that this was the type of performance they were expecting. Here's a quote from Draymond Green. This is what he says about teams getting back to the championship once you've been there already, how hard it is to get back. It's very hard, Green said Tuesday following the win. The teams that have done that, or a guy, LeBron James, that has done that, have been taken for granted. It's nearly impossible to do, which is why you don't see it often. It's a tough thing, but both teams are trying to get back there. So he's basically saying the fact that he went to 8, 9, 10 straight finals, even though he didn't win them all, the fact that he went all those times is amazing in itself. And I always say, my thing to people who say, oh, he's lost all those times. Yeah, he lost, and I'm sure he would rather have won a bunch of them. But if it's so easy to do it, how come nobody else did it? How come Kevin Durant didn't go back? How come all these other players that could have went, how come they didn't go? If it's that easy and it's just, he just has this, but whatever. It is what it is. On Westbrook's rough debut after a shaky preseason when it seemed like, he had a horrible preseason too. And you thought it was just him trying to get used to the team, but it feels like this first game anyway, his play kind of leaked over into the regular season. Now, I know the Lakers are hoping that doesn't continue, but from the very beginning, from the very first preseason game, just turnovers, missed open shots. I mean, he was never a great shooter, but that little mid-range, that was kind of his niche. And he was missing stuff like that too, which is definitely not acceptable. It won't be acceptable for long if he keeps it up. While LeBron James and Anthony Davis locked back into their championship form, combined for 67 points, Westbrook did much of their production on his own. The Lakers were outscored 23 points in the 35 minutes Westbrook was on the floor. So that means his defense was bad, just everything was bad. I don't know if the emotional part of the game got to him because he's home and playing in front of his family. It's probably been his lifelong dream. You've been hearing about him going to the Lakers for the last 6-7 years. You've been hearing rumors about it that he wanted to go. It was such a rough debut, shooting 4 of 13 from the field with 4 turnovers, 4 fouls, and a handful of blow-bys on the perimeter. Coach Vogel actually took him out and put Avery Bradley in to try to change up the energy in the fourth quarter when LA was doing really bad. Like I said earlier, I didn't know Bradley signed with the Lakers. He just signed with them on Monday. He only participated in the pregame walkthrough, and they decided to put him in. That just shows you how bad Russell Westbrook was playing. So at best, it was a soft launch for these new-look Lakers. At worst, a sign that this team is going to have its fair share of growing pains. I don't want to say that, but like I said, Miami went with a prime Dwayne Wade and a prime Chris Bosh and LeBron James. They had growing pains. So if they had growing pains and they were in their prime, this team right here is going to have its own set of growing pains as well. It looks like the Warriors kind of might have fixed their biggest flaw for one night. Last year, their biggest flaw was they didn't have anybody. Now, they had Andrew Wiggins, and I think everybody agrees that he's been a bust. He's one of those busts that, he's a bust. Let's just say how it is. Now, he's still a serviceable NBA player, but last year he struggled mightily, and the Warriors suffered because of it. I don't think they ever should have got rid of D'Angelo Russell, but that's another story. Klay Thompson didn't play in this game, but his bench, they actually stepped up. One game into the new season, it appears Curry and the Warriors have turned over a new leaf. And it's pretty simple. The bench came to play. Third-year guard Jordan Poole, who figures to stay in the starting lineup as Klay Thompson continues his ACL rehabilitation. Actually, it's his ACL and his Achilles. I forgot how devastating that injury was. But yeah, he had 20 points. Veteran Andre Iguodala, like I said, he had 12 points. So yeah, they were really in Nemanja Bjelica, I think his name is. He had 15 points, 11 rebounds. So the bench stepped up big time, really big time. And it's looking, the future is bright for Golden State. If Thompson can come back, and you still got Draymond Green, Curry, you got Iguodala back. If Andrew Wiggins can just give you about 15 points, 14 to 15 points a game, and all those other pieces with Poole, man, the future is real bright for them. And they still got that Wiseman kid, although he didn't get many minutes. The center that they drafted in the top 5 last year, they still have that kid too. So we'll see what happens. Moving along, the Bucks beat the Nets 127-104. Now, even though the Nets are going through their drama with Kyrie Irving, which we'll talk about in a minute. It's starting to build into a rivalry, the Bucks versus the Nets, and the East is really missing that. With they didn't have any key teams that were really battling it out that kind of didn't like each other. And we all know what happened last year when Kevin Durant, he willed the Brooklyn Nets to that final game, had his foot on the line, turned into a 2, went into overtime, and the Bucks eventually won and went on to win the NBA championship. But I think these teams, remember that quote that Kevin Durant said that he said, "Don't ever compare me to Antetokounmpo," and I think ever since then, he's had a little chip on his shoulder about that, and I just love seeing these two teams play. And the game was a great game, but I'll say this about the Bucks. They play well together. The chemistry, they remind me of like a San Antonio team. I'm a big cheerleader for teams that really play team ball, and you might have one dominant player, but they still play team ball. I love that. So that's what the Bucks remind me of. They definitely remind me of the San Antonio Spurs. Now, Milwaukee is dealing with a lot of injuries. Drew Holiday went down last night, as well as they didn't have Bobby Portis, Semi Ojeleye, I think that's his name, and Dante DiVincenzo. All those players definitely took a hit to the Bucks' depth. But it looks like they had to use a bunch of unconventional lineups, and they were able to pull it out, and that goes a lot to their chemistry. And Antetokounmpo and I can't believe I forgot his name, Chris Middleton. That tandem right there is formidable. They might not have 3 big-time stars, but they have 3 really good players that play well together in Holiday, Middleton, and Antetokounmpo. So we'll see what happens with that depth right there. Did you guys see that ring that they showed at the beginning of the game when they got their rings and they hang the banner up in there? That ring here, take a look at it. You see that? Beautiful, beautiful ring. And I'll read all the dimensions in a second. Actually, no, I'm not going to read the dimensions. It's going to take too long, but it's a beautiful ring, ain't it? It is. All right, moving along. Let's see here. I'll tell you this. A big pickup for the Brooklyn Nets was Patti Mills. He put in 23 points, and he was 7-7 from the three-point line. I never understood why the Spurs let him go. Good clutch shooter, not afraid of the moment. He's going to get a lot of three-point shots on that team. Missing Kyrie Irving, I just don't know if the Brooklyn Nets are going to be able to win it. The defense isn't there. I'll put it like this. Without Kyrie, they don't have enough offense to just obliterate everybody. And they already don't have a great offensive team or a great rebounding team. So only time will tell whether or not Kyrie Irving has personally sabotaged the Brooklyn Nets season. Now, I don't think he's purposely doing that, and I actually commend him, and I'll talk about it at the end of the show, but I definitely commend him for what he's doing, for standing on his morals, but he definitely sabotaged the Brooklyn Nets season. There's no other way to put it. He definitely put a monkey wrench in their season. So anyway, moving along, and in the beginning of the show, I said I wanted to share a few fun facts with you guys, and because this was opening day, I wanted to do a This Day in NBA History. So starting October 20th, 1971, Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia Warriors scored 57 points in a 122-115 win over the Los Angeles Lakers. October 20th, 1962, John Havlicek made his debut for the Boston Celtics at home against the New York Knicks. The Celtics won 149-116. October 20th, 1972, the Buffalo Braves scored an NBA record 58 points in the fourth quarter, but still dropped a 126-118 decision to the Celtics at Boston Garden. My question is, what was the score before they scored the NBA record 58 points in the fourth quarter? Good Lord. They must have been losing by they still lost by 8. So they were losing by over 60 points going into the fourth quarter. Did the Celtics not score? That's pretty amazing. I didn't know that. October 20th, 1973, Boston pulled down an NBA record 39 offensive rebounds in a game against the Capitol Bullets at the Capitol Center. But the Celtics ended up losing the game 96-87. Once again, how do you pull down 39 offensive rebounds and lose the game? It's astonishing. They must have shot the ball very, 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 very horrible. It's the only thing I can come up with. October 20th, 1976, the Philadelphia 76ers acquired Julius Irving from the New York Nets in exchange for $3 million. That's pocket change now. The lowest guy on the bench makes that now. It's amazing how far the money has come since back then. That's pretty crazy. And now to wrap up the NBA Jam's fun facts, I'm going to go with a little top 5 all-time performances on NBA opening night. So we're going to start with 5 and work our way to 1. Number 5, Wilt Chamberlain, 1962 NBA opening night. Wilt Chamberlain is one of the greatest and dominant players in NBA history. He holds many records that are deemed unbreakable and still stand to this day. One of those records is the most points scored in NBA opening night in 1962. Chamberlain of the San Francisco Warriors scored an NBA record 56 points against the Detroit Pistons. The Warriors defeated the Pistons 140-113 that night. Chamberlain added 29 rebounds and 4 assists while shooting 65.7% from the field. He could have had 63 points had he converted all of his free throws in the game. Chamberlain went 10 of 17 from the stripe that night. Let's see here. Anthony Davis, 2014 NBA opening night. Anthony Davis is one of the most special talents in NBA history. He spent the first 7 seasons with the Pelicans before going to the Lakers in 2019. While with the Pelicans, Davis had one of the greatest NBA opening night performances of all time. 2014, he recorded a near triple-double with 26 points, 17 rebounds, and 9 blocks against the Orlando Magic. His team would win 101-84. He was 1 block away from a rare triple-double with blocks. It's pretty amazing. I had no idea. Okay, moving along, we're going to go to number 3, John Stockton, 1989. John Stockton is the NBA's career leader in assists with 15,806. Second in career assists per game at 10.5. 1889. That would make him pretty old, huh? In 1989, against the Denver Nuggets at home, Stockton led the Utah Jazz to a 122-113 victory. Besides 19 dimes, the Hall of Fame point guard also scored 23 points. To top it all off, his teammate, who probably was at the other end of those assists, was teammate Karl Malone. He had 40 points. Number 2, now this one surprised me. Clyde Drexler, 1996 opening night. The quadruple double is one of the rarest accomplishments in the NBA. It has only been recorded 4 times. Nate Thurmond, 1974, Alvin Robertson, 1986, Hakeem Olajuwon, 1990, and David Robinson in 1994. In 1996, Clyde Drexler almost recorded the 5th quadruple double in history. In the Houston Rockets' 96-85 win over the Sacramento Kings, Drexler tallied 25 points, 10 rebounds, 10 steals, and 9 assists. Damn, what a stat line. It's beautiful. I gotta go back and watch that game. What's even more impressive, it was his last year in the league, which is crazy. A decade earlier, Drexler almost had his first quadruple-double while a member of the Portland Trail Blazers. That night, he had 26 points, 11 assists, and 10 steals, and 9 rebounds. That's crazy. And number 1, of course, is Michael Jordan. Michael Air Jordan, Michael Air Jeffrey Jordan, whatever you want to call him, MJ, his airness. In 1989, Michael Jordan almost broke Wilt Chamberlain's record for most points scored on opening night. Jordan exploded for 54 points against his favorite opponent, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Fresh off eliminating the Cavaliers with the shot in the 1989 playoffs, Jordan continued to torture Cleveland with the greatest opening night performance of all time. In addition to his 54 points, Jordan had 14 rebounds and 6 assists in a 124-119 overtime win. I know the Cleveland Cavaliers must completely hate Jordan, just like the Jets hate Brady, or how Buffalo hated Brady. I know that it still has to resonate with the people who are old enough to have been around during that time. I just remember Jordan would go in, his mouth would start like a mad dog, start foaming, he started drooling. I gotta show you guys a picture of my dog when he drools, when he sees food. It's pretty funny. I'm imagining that's what Jordan was like when he had to face the Cavaliers. But anyway, did you guys see the news about Ben Simmons? And I promise I'm about to wrap it up. Did you see he was kicked out of practice? So Doc Rivers, Ben Simmons was kicked out of practice because Doc wanted him to do a defensive drill, and he pretty much refused. He said, no, I'm not doing it. He said, I'm not doing it. I said, nope. You guys are paying me all this money, and no, I'm not doing it. Says a lot about him. Now, when Joel Embiid was asked, he says, I'm not thinking about that man. He wouldn't even say his name. He said that man. He said, I'm not thinking about that man. And he said, nor am I here to babysit him. So he was pretty much like F him. In so many words, he said, F him. If he doesn't want to play, I don't want to talk about him. So I guess it's fair to say not only has Simmons gotten the 76ers fans to hate him, his own teammates don't care that much for him, or at least the ones that really matter and the ones that are going to move the needle on whether or not he's welcome back in that locker room. So it's funny because this was the report on him at LSU. If you see on the screen, this was the report about his character when he was in college. So it seems as though he's had some character flaws, which makes me wonder why you would give all this money to him knowing this. I mean, there's been a lot of reports. Stephen A. Smith, even Stephen A. Smith has been getting on my nerves lately, but he's been reported that he's got some character flaws. So, hey, 76ers, if you just want to give some money away, just throw 50, 100 million away, you can contact me or Sean Mack anytime. If you want to gift us $50 million, we can put that money to better use than what Mr. Simmons is doing, and we can actually make you some money. How about that? So anytime you want to contact us, just hit us up. It's just a thought. So anyway, give me your thoughts on this clown. I would really like to hear your opinions. And before we go, big shout out to Kyrie Irving. Like I said, I wanted to talk about him real quick for sticking to his guns. Some people may not like this, but the fact is, it's his body. And if that's what he wants to do, you can't get mad at the man for doing what he wants to do with his body. So that's really all I want to talk about. I don't want to get too in depth with it because I'm trying to make some money off these videos and I ain't trying to really talk about it that much. So I just wanted to say big up to Kyrie Irving. So on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed the show, but before we go, I'm curious as what you guys think. Who you think is going to win this year's NBA championship? Leave it down there in the comments. Lakers, Bucks, or Nets, or maybe it's somebody else that you think may win it. Don't forget Murray's back for Denver. Dallas is just going to get better. Phoenix is just going to get better. So as long as everybody stays healthy, and that's a big if. I actually think this is going to be the best NBA season in a long time. A lot of great teams out there, and I'm going to sit back and enjoy all the greatness we have in store this season. So I'm glad you guys stopped by. We appreciate all the subscribers. We just broke over 1,000 subscribers, so keep them coming. Share them with your friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and let them know, man, it's the place to be. Sports fans only. Make sure you hit the like button, share button, and once again, this is your boy KJ, and this is NBA Jam Session brought to you by Sports Fans Only. You guys be good. Peace.